This edition of CropLife Retail Week is brought to you by the inaugural Tech Hub Live Conference and Expo, July 19th through the 21st at the Iowa Event Center in Des Moines. Early bird registration now available at techhublive.com. Hello again, welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. Paul Schrimpf here with Eric Sfiligoj. Hello, sir. How are you?
I am good, sir. How are you doing? I always love April in Cleveland because you never quite know what the weather's going to give you. I know as we record this, we have just had a snowfall event as about as late a date as I remember, although I guess they said it's been about 13 years or so since we had a snowfall this late in the month of April in Ohio. But all I know is it kept me from having to mow the grass this week, so I was happy.
No, I didn't have such luck. I didn't mow it. The snow looks great over the mowed grass because it kind of falls in the same rows as I cut it, and makes the
snow look pattern. I like that.
Makes the snow look quite manicured. Very nice. So anyway, yeah, there's 2 April days in a row to scrape the car is weird. Especially April in the 20s. That's not even normal for us, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. When I had to walk the dog yesterday, I dug out the winter coat and gloves because I'm like, there was a decent breeze blowing and it was a little chilly when we were on our walk for her and I. And, I kind of thought I'd put the winter coat away for the last time a couple of weeks ago, but, Mother Nature decided differently. So.
Yep, it packed the punch. There's no doubt about it. So anyway, but it's supposed to be, I think it's getting in the mid 80s next week. So, hey.
Yes, we'll be complaining about the heat.
Be in the attic. Where's my air conditioner?
It's always extremes with us humans. Gosh.
Yeah, we're never happy. Never happy. Anyway, so I did want to, my father taught me well when I was a kid. He said, cut twice or measure twice and cut once, not cut twice and measure once. But every once in a while, you take that board back and you find out you cut an inch too far. So with that, in that spirit, I want to apologize for a mistake that was on our video last week. We had the cut line under the video that Koch had acquired Compass Minerals, and that's, of course, not true at all. They acquired 3 micronutrient lines. And I said a bit of a stir on Saturday morning. We changed it as quickly as we possibly could, but I'm sure some of the early folks that saw the video right away saw that and probably were like, we know that's not right. So we took care of it as quickly as we could. But I do want to apologize for the error, and we'll continue to try harder and measure that second time before we cut, as we say.
Yeah. Amen. Amen, Paul.
So what do you got today, sir?
Well, actually, all right. Since you just sort of gave us a segue about acquisitions taking place in the marketplace, you may remember our friends at AGI. Of course, they've been very active over the last dozen years or so when they've acquired companies near and dear to our hearts. Back in the day, they bought Yargus, which makes blending equipment for fertilizer and also does software. And they also acquired our friends at Junkie Controls not too long ago. So it gave them an in into the implant systems marketplace. Well, AGI has owned a little portion of Farmobile for the past few years, but now they've exercised their right to purchase the whole company. So AGI has acquired Farmobile. And Tim Close, the president and CEO of AGI, said that Farmobile will be a fantastic addition to AGI's SureTrack platform. And he actually promises to help expand the Farmobile presence in the ag market using AGI's influence with its customer base. So congratulations to them on that acquisition.
Yeah, Farmobile's continue to maintain momentum in the market, and there's a lot of users. The data's got a lot of utility. It's and they've continued to accelerate. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the company under AGI now, and certainly AGI has been. I can't imagine that they're done. Probably going to continue to look for acquisition targets and things that'll complement their existing technology. But it's really very interesting. Congratulations to all parties, and we'll be watching closely what they do over the next months and years.
Yes, indeed. So, and another bit of note here, another welcome into the industry. Our friends at Nutrien have announced that they have a new president CEO as of, I guess, today, as the video is out. A gentleman by the name of Mayo Schmidt, who has actually been on their board of directors since 2012. Mr. Schmidt comes, he used to be the president at Viterra, Canadian ag company, also worked with ConAgra back in the day, and he comes on board replacing Chuck Mago. I guess Chuck has decided to pursue other interests effective immediately. So welcome aboard, Mr. Schmidt at Nutrien. We'll look forward, Paul and I, to either meeting you or talking to you here in the near future.
Yes, well, that's Chuck Magro, sir. Come on.
Magro, is that how it's pronounced? Okay, I wasn't sure. I did not have a phonetic key on the press release. I'm sorry to say. That's
okay. Yeah, I guess he was as you said, he was at Viterra for I think 13 years, and they sold they had sold the interest to their I say now I'm fumbling. The retail stores, they had about 200 plus retail stores in Canada that they had sold to. At the time, I think it was CPS at the time before it eventually became Nutrien. I had done some visits up there and saw some of the old name signs were still hidden in the back room. So, I know that's Viterra is a name that our Canadian friends are certainly familiar with. And so he's obviously got vast experience in the market, and Nutrien shows no signs of retreating in terms of investment. So it's probably I imagine a pretty exciting opportunity for him to get in there and take what they've already done and take it to the next level. Okay, yeah, very good. Yeah, so welcome aboard, Mayo Schmidt, and so we'll go from there. One other thing, just sort of as a follow-up, I know a couple of videos ago I had talked about the fact that because China demand for U.S. soybean was so strong that soybean was pushing some of the highest commodity prices it's seen in about 7 or 8 years, $14, $15 per bushel. Actually saw a report this week that said, based on some of the early projections and consumption habits of the world, it looks like U.S. corn may be able to top the $6 mark per bushel here very shortly. So again, Paul, these are some of the highest commodity prices I remember since maybe, the early 2010s, 2011, somewhere in that range. So this is a good time for agriculture, I guess, as the world demand for U.S. crops continues to go forward unabated. Yep, the whole ethanol insanity thing then kind of exploded for a period of time there, and I wasn't thinking we'd ever see that again, but it's agriculture. I guess you just never know. Things the cycles do come back, and I know people who say that when I was a kid, when I was a kid comes back again. So this is not walking uphill both ways through 10 feet of snow to school type deal. It doesn't, that happens once in a century, but these ag cycles do tend to pop up over and over again. So yes, they do. So yeah, I guess I just add one thing. I did sit in on a Topcon event yesterday. Got to hear a little bit more about a couple of new products they're releasing for manual guidance and auto steering. New receivers, the AGM1 and the AGS2, and also they talked about the TopNet live cellular satellite connections they have to GPS, which give you a range of options from sub centimeter all the way up to the more wider distances for a variety of different applications. And talked about their receivers now picking up 20 to 25 satellites as part of the correction, in that increasing accuracy is just coming from the number of satellites that are available and the receiver's capacity to pick them up. So it's great when the more of that stuff comes out, the more you can kind of assume that GPS is going to work effectively and be accurate, the better it is for everybody. So something you want to be able to take for granted is almost like a utility, like plugging in something to the wall. So it's good to see that release coming out, and that accuracy, that performance on accuracy being available all the time. And again, something we can just kind of take for granted and appreciate it without having to acknowledge it all the time. Like, why is this not working? So that's good news.
Yeah, that is good. I know, like I said, I know a lot of folks I've talked to have mentioned over and over that with the fact that we've all been isolating in the COVID-19 pandemic times, that technology in the marketplace continues to move forward, making life easier and connectivity a little more easy to accomplish. So, yeah, it's always good to hear that our friends at Topcon are well on top of this trend. So.
Yeah, I guess this one last thing I did also see Bayer had released more, kind of expanded their carbon program to more states and provided eligibility for folks that have been adopting either no-till or strip-till or cover crops going back to 2012, which is good to see. You know, that's kind of the big question, is how do you reward folks for carbon sequestration who've been doing it all along? And they're trying hard to figure this thing out. It's not easy. I think a lot of these programs, when they look at carbon sequestration, are also looking at the world. I mean, the U.S. is an important market, but you know, the places where soil hasn't been, you know, has the soil conservation, some of the things that we've been doing for years hasn't been done, is going to be a key focus for them. But they're trying to get as much inclusion in the U.S. market as possible, and hopefully that'll continue. We'll continue to see more opportunities, and you know, retailers are going to have to help growers sort those things out and figure out which ones are worthwhile and provide possibilities, and which ones might be more challenging. And you know, we'll see. And it's just lots of investment and lots of news around these carbon markets, and it's going to continue to play out this year and beyond.
Yeah, amen. So yeah, I know I've gotten a lot of releases regarding carbon too. So it seems to be the new area of interest for most of the folks in agriculture. You know, so yes, will be interesting to see where all this heads as we move through 2021 and beyond. So
you bet. So, got anything else, sir? We wrapped up.
Well, almost. One other thing just to mention, you know, I know about a week ago I sent out our annual CropLife 100 mid-year report, where we're basically trying to get a early read on what kind of year 2021 is looking like for the ag retail marketplace. So I've received back about a quarter of the 100 forms at this point. Obviously, no hard and fast rule in terms of how many I get back, but if you have it sitting in your inbox, I haven't gotten around to it, I'll be expecting to get that from you here in the next week or so. I believe my deadline was May 3rd on that. So you still have a good week to fill out the form. It's not very hard, about 10 quick questions. And that will help us have a more complete report to share with you on our June 2021 issue of CropLife.
Absolutely. You know, COVID is winding down, hopefully, and we're, you know, we're kind of in a changed world, and we want to be able to gauge what's going on in your minds and your businesses. So please do fill that out. If you feel compelled, send an email with more feedback or things that you're dealing with that the survey doesn't cover. The more complete report we get back, the more we can get back to you in terms of what's happening.
Yep. Amen.
Well,
that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us at this edition of CropLife Retail Week. And we'll see you next week. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.